I had no idea that Alex Vance held a grudge against me for all those years. He blamed me for pushing away his first love, and to get his revenge, he stayed with me for 7 years. On the day we were supposed to get married, I begged him to come, but he never showed up. I knew exactly where he was, with his secretary, taking her to a doctor's appointment for her pregnancy. In that moment, I finally let go. I didn't have the energy to love him anymore, but later that night, he called me. I could hear the desperation in his voice as he pleaded with me not to marry someone else. The man sitting next to me took the phone, a gentle smile on his face, and said, "I think you have the wrong number. You're interrupting my wedding night with my wife." Alex had proposed to me once, on our 7th anniversary. There wasn't a big romantic gesture or a cheering crowd. I was just at the sink washing dishes. When I turned around, he slipped a ring onto my middle finger. I was still holding a soapy bowl, so I just stood there, frozen and unsure what to do. I stared at him, and he looked back at me calmly. "Isn't this what you've always wanted?" he asked. I managed to snap out of my shock and look down at the ring. It sparkled, but I had to force a smile. "Yes," I said. "I like it a lot." The truth was, I hated it. It was too tight, clearly not my size, and far too flashy for my taste. Alex seemed happy with my answer and walked out of the kitchen. A moment later, his phone rang. I could hear him talking in the living room, his voice soft and warm in a way he never used with me. He grabbed his coat and headed for the door. "I have to go take care of something," he said. "Don't wait up." He left so quickly without even a glance back. I was left standing there, holding the bowl, the new ring on my finger. I knew he wouldn't be back for a long time. I had stopped waiting up for him on the couch long ago. I knew who had called. It was his secretary, Clara Reed. The first time I met her, I understood immediately why he had hired a young woman with no experience for such a key position. She looked so much like Isabelle, his first love. The way she tilted her head and gave me a defiant look was exactly the same. It was enough to make both of us pause. For a second, I felt like I was back in high school. Isabelle and I used to be close, but everything changed after she left. I'm not sure when we started to drift apart, but it was probably around the time I started to fall for Alex. Isabelle came from a humble background and had transferred to our school from an older part of town. But she was beautiful, and everyone noticed her from the day she arrived. She had a sweet personality, and even Alex, who was usually quiet, started talking to me just to get closer to her. Back then, Alex and I were just classmates who happened to sit near each other. He was always kind to Isabelle, and she was the one who brought him into my life. Looking back now, I regret not seeing what was happening between them sooner. If I had been more aware, maybe I wouldn't have given my heart to someone who was only going to break it. The day I went to try on my wedding dress, Alex was actually on time, which was unusual. For a moment, I let myself hope that things were changing. I put on the dress I had dreamed about for years, and when I saw myself in the mirror, I was overcome with emotion. It felt perfect, but when I turned to show Alex, my dream shattered. He was staring at his phone, a small smile on his face that had nothing to do with me. I was standing right in front of him, his fiancée in her wedding gown, and he couldn't even be bothered to look up. The sales assistant, looking uncomfortable, walked over. "Sir, would you like to see how the gown looks on the lady?" she asked politely. Alex glanced up for a second, his expression annoyed. "If she likes it, that's fine. Just put it on my card," he said, then turned to leave. I struggled to move in the heavy dress and called out, "Alex, you haven't even tried on your suit yet." He didn't stop. "You can handle it," he said as he walked out the door. The saleswoman, who had been so helpful a minute ago, fell silent. She looked at me with pity. I stood there for a long moment, then forced a smile. "Please wrap up the dress for me." He had proposed, but it felt like I was the only one in this relationship. Just then, my phone buzzed with a new message. It was a video. A man was whispering a woman's name, Clara, while she leaned into him. The face was Alex's. Strangely, my heart didn't hurt as much as I expected. I felt a wave of nausea, but I saved the video and sent the sender my address. If she wanted to find me, I would make it easy. When I got to the cafe, Clara was already there, stirring a glass of milk. For a second, I thought she was Isabelle. If it had been Isabelle, maybe things would have been easier to bear. Clara looked up and smiled sweetly. "Maya, did you want to see me?" she asked, playing innocent. I didn't say anything, just ordered an iced coffee. As the silence stretched on, her smile started to look strained. She was young, fresh out of college, and not experienced enough to keep up the act. "You know why I asked you here?" I said finally. "That video was for me, wasn't it?" Her face lit up. "That's right, I sent it," she said proudly. "Alex told me he's tired of you. You've been together for 7 years and you're still not married. That says something, doesn't it? Why don't you just let him go so someone better can have him?" Hearing her say he was tired of you hurt. If he was so tired, why did he propose? I stayed silent, which she took as a sign of defeat. "By the way," she continued with a triumphant smile, "did Alex give you a ring recently? It's pretty, isn't it?" I picked it out. It's my size and my favorite style, and I'm already… Before she could finish, I slapped her. The sound echoed in the quiet cafe. She clutched her cheek, staring at me in disbelief. "How dare you hit me?" she cried. I looked her straight in the eye. "Why shouldn't I? You're sleeping with my fiancé. Did you expect me to thank you? You're proud of being his mistress? Let me tell you, you're the 5th one I've dealt with in 7 years. You should worry less about me and more about how you're going to keep him." Her face went pale. She looked humiliated, but then her expression shifted to one of innocent hurt. "Maya, you must be mistaken. I'm not that kind of person," she murmured. Just then, a deep voice cut in. "What's going on here?" It was Alex. I looked at Clara's fake, innocent face and felt a wave of complete exhaustion. I didn't even care anymore. I picked up my bag to leave, but as I passed Alex, he grabbed my arm. "Apologize," he said coldly. I looked at his face, cold and distant, and all the resentment I'd been holding back surged up. I tried to pull my wrist away, but he held on tighter. Tears streamed down my face as I saw Clara's mocking smirk over his shoulder. "I will not apologize," I said, my voice shaking. "Clara," Alex said, hit her back. I stared at him, stunned. As Clara stepped forward, a bitter feeling rose in my chest. "No need," I said. "I'll do it myself." I slapped my own face hard. The sting was sharp and sobering. Without another word, I turned and ran out of the cafe. I didn't want to see Alex's indifference or Clara's smug smile. From that day on, Alex and I were in a silent war. We didn't speak a word to each other, right up until the wedding day. In the bridal suite, my college friend Jenna was fuming. "Alex is unbelievable," she said, brushing my hair. "How could he be late on his own wedding day? I never liked him, even back in college." I just smiled faintly, too tired to respond. I had planned everything for the wedding by myself. Alex hadn't helped at all. It was clear he didn't care. I wasn't even sure he would show up. Jenna once told me that Alex was wild and couldn't be tamed, and she was right. I knew that about him even in high school, but I liked him anyway. I knew he had feelings for Isabelle, but I couldn't help watching him from a distance. My feelings were all hidden away in a diary that went missing one day. I never found it. Even though I knew Alex only got together with me because he was angry at Isabelle for leaving, I held on to a tiny bit of hope that after all these years, he might have grown to love me. I was so desperate for his love. And he knew it, which is why he kept pushing me away. Of course, Alex didn't show up. He ran away from our wedding. I stood alone on the stage in my white dress, listening to the guests whisper and laugh. She begged him for this wedding. I heard someone say, "You can't force love. The groom didn't even show." What a disgrace. Alex's mother sat in the front row, staring at her phone and texting. She never liked me. She always thought I was clinging to her son. At that moment, I couldn't understand what I ever loved about him. We had good times, didn't we? When he was starting his business, he would rest his head on my shoulder and promise to give me a better life. He surprised me with our first apartment. He begged me not to leave when I first found out he was cheating. I was never a weak person. I knew I could live without him. But I couldn't let go of the boy I had loved, the boy who once slowed down so I could step on his shadow, the boy who promised me forever under a sycamore tree. But I finally realized that our love was the one thing he couldn't overcome. If this was the future he was offering, I didn't want it. I was done. I changed out of the wedding dress alone and went straight home. I didn't bother to clean up the mess at the venue. I grabbed a few clothes from the house we shared and realized there was nothing else there that was truly mine. I paused in the living room, looking at the space that held 7 years of my life, both good and bad. My phone buzzed again and again. It was Alex. I let it ring. Finally, I sent him the screenshots Clara had sent me. Then, silence. Clara was pregnant. She was the first of his affairs to get pregnant, and that told me everything. I could picture her smug confidence. Looking at the pregnancy test in the photo, I felt a cruel twist of fate. Because I had been pregnant once, too. It was when Alex's company was at a critical point. I wanted to support him, so I stayed up late making him food to take to the office. On the way there, the taxi I was in got into an accident. I didn't know I was a month pregnant. By the time I went to the hospital, it was too late. The baby was gone. Alex had just saved his company and texted me to say he was out celebrating with his team. I was lying in a hospital bed, crying silently. I never told him we had a child. I didn't want to ruin his moment of success. I don't know why I kept it a secret. On the way to the airport, I finally answered one of his calls. "Why did you just leave?" he demanded, his voice full of anger. "You left my mother and all the guests. How am I supposed to explain this?" He kept talking. "Go back to the hotel, Maya. Help my mother. We'll postpone the wedding. I'll explain everything later." "Alex," I interrupted, my voice cold, "I'm not going to marry you. Think about the last 7 years. Think about how you treated me. Your friends called me your dog behind my back. I'm done. It's better to end this now than to get a divorce later. As for your mother and your relatives, they're your problem. Not a single person there was from my family. You figure it out. Or have your pregnant little secretary explain it to them." I hung up and threw out my SIM card. The taxi driver looked at me in the rearview mirror. When I got out, he said, "Miss, don't be sad. Leaving a man like that is the best thing you can do. Your life will only get better from here." I smiled and thanked him. He was right. My mother was a strong woman. She divorced my father when he had an affair and always pushed me to be better than his new son. For 10 years, she punished me if I didn't get first place in my class. The bravest thing I ever did was apply to a university in the same city as Alex. When my mother found out, she was furious. "I've had enough." I screamed at her, all my frustration pouring out. "I'm a person. I get to choose my own life." She was stunned. "Is that really how you see me?" She whispered, "I did it all for you. I know you like that boy. He's no good for you." I knew she would try to find him, so I dropped to my knees and begged her not to. She finally gave in. "Go," she said, her voice tired. "Just go." I got into the university I wanted, but my mother never contacted me again. When I showed up at her door that evening, I hesitated. I had hurt her so much. The door opened and my mother stood there holding a trash bag. "Are you Maya?" she asked, squinting. I threw my arms around her and sobbed. "Mom, I'm so sorry," I cried. "I broke up with Alex." She hugged me back, her arms feeling frail. "Come inside, dear," she whispered. "You must be tired." She made me a bowl of noodles and listened as I told her everything. When I was done, the ache in my heart was gone, replaced by guilt. "It's all fate, Maya," she said softly. "Let it go now." That night I slept in my childhood bed and she told me stories about her own life, her own love and loss. The bed that once held my teenage tears now felt like a place of healing. 2 years later, Alex showed up outside our apartment. He looked rough, with a stubble-covered face. I was chatting with Leo Carter, the boy who grew up next door. My mom had been subtly trying to set us up. Leo was my childhood friend, and I had just gotten a teaching job at the local elementary school where his uncle was the principal. He was kind and blushed easily. He always knew how to make me laugh. My mom noticed how close we were becoming. "That Carter boy really likes you," she teased one day. "Why not give him a try?" Leo, who had overheard, turned bright red. That night, he tapped on my window with pebbles, just like when we were kids. "Maya," he said nervously when I came downstairs, "I've thought about this. I like you. I don't know when it started, but I just wanted to tell you. If you feel the same way, even a little, could we give this a try?" His sincerity made me smile. I thought about how I had loved Alex from afar, and how all my devotion had never warmed his heart. "All right," I said. "Let's try." He scooped me up in a joyful hug. From then on, Leo was always by my side. He walked me to and from work and took care of me. Then I saw Alex again. He looked shocked to see me holding hands with Leo. "Maya," he whispered, his voice trembling. He lunged forward and tried to pull me away, but Leo stepped between us. "Maya, don't be with him," Alex pleaded. "I was wrong, I was childish." "Please." His words left me cold. "I said everything I needed to say on the phone," I told him. "And what about Clara? Shouldn't she have had the baby by now?" "No, she lied," he said frantically. "She was never pregnant. I sent her away. Please, Maya, come back. I've been so alone. It took losing you for me to realize I can't live without you. I love you. I held up my hand, which Leo was holding tightly. But I don't love you anymore, I said gently. Now I have someone I truly love. Alex didn't give up. He sent messages from new numbers full of regret. I deleted them. Leo would get furious. That guy is crazy, he'd shout. One day, a huge bouquet of red roses showed up at my work. I knew it wasn't from Leo. We had agreed to keep things low-key. It was from Alex. He still didn't remember that my favorite flowers were baby's breath. I gave the roses away to my colleagues. I'm getting married next month, I told them. I hope you can all come. Leo proposed 2 weeks after Alex reappeared. He did it quietly, during a dinner with our families. This is a union of our families, he said, kneeling. Proposing in front of the people who love us most will bring us a blessed life. The ring fit perfectly. I said yes. As he hugged me, I saw my mother smiling through her tears. The sorrow I had carried for so long finally washed away. I met Alex at a cafe near our old high school and handed him a wedding invitation. He stared at it, his hands trembling. When he saw the names, he started to cry. No, please, Maya, he begged, kneeling in front of me. I was wrong. I was blinded by hate. Please don't get married. I looked at him, a reflection of the girl I used to be, begging for a wedding. Alex, I said softly, I never hated you. But it doesn't matter anymore. I'm happy now. Please, don't disturb my life. I left money for the coffee and walked away. On my wedding day, Alex didn't show up. Later that night, while opening gifts, we found an envelope with cash and another one in a strange green color. I knew they were from him. At 11 p.m. he called. Maya, he said after a long silence, his voice bitter. Congratulations on your wedding. Thank you, I replied. You should go home. Before he could say more, Leo took the phone. Dear ex-fiancé, he said playfully, we're about to enjoy our wedding night. Please don't disturb. He hung up and swept me into his arms. Now, he whispered with a grin, let's not waste a single second. Married life was blissful. 2 years later, we had a daughter. When she was 3, I got a call from Alex's mother. Her voice was desperate. Maya, I beg you, please come see Alex. He's not doing well. He doesn't have much time. After talking with Leo, I went. Alex was in the final stage of stomach cancer, a skeletal version of the man I once knew. When he saw me, his eyes filled with tears. He asked his mother to get a small book from behind his pillow. It was my old diary, the one I thought I'd lost. His mother explained everything. Isabelle had found my diary years ago. Alex saw her reading it and, assuming it was hers, fell for the words I had written. Isabelle, consumed by guilt, eventually broke up with him and left. He blamed me for driving her away. It wasn't until 2 years ago, when a guilt-ridden Isabelle returned from abroad and confessed, that he learned the truth. She was too ashamed to face me herself. The green envelope at my wedding was from her, a silent apology. I sat there in silence, processing the cruel twist of fate. I felt nothing but a desire to go home to Leo. I left without another word. That night, his mother called to tell me he had passed away. Leo just held me close. Let it go now, he said gently, and I did. I had a new life, and everything ahead was only going to get better. Alex's story. June 2019. I knew Maya liked me for a long time, even before Isabelle came to our school. She used to take a longer route home just to walk near me. She would step on my shadow thinking I didn't notice. I always knew she cared. Then Isabelle arrived. July 2019. Isabelle was stunning. Everyone said we'd make a perfect couple, and I started to believe it. One day, I saw her reading a journal. The handwriting looked familiar. I took it and read it. It was full of love for me. I was shocked. I assumed she wrote it, and she didn't correct me. So we started dating. I remember the strange look on Maya's face when she found out. I didn't understand it then, but when I saw her holding Leo's hand years later, I finally knew what that heartbreak felt like. You must have been in so much pain, Maya. July 2019. Being with Isabelle wasn't what I expected. She was jealous and started treating Maya horribly. They argued all the time. I thought it was my fault. Then, Isabelle broke up with me out of the blue. People said she'd had a fight with Maya, that Maya had hit her. Before I could find out the truth, Isabelle transferred schools. After that, I confessed to Maya. I don't know if it was love or guilt. Looking back, I never really understood my own heart. August 2019. I didn't treat Maya well during our 7 years together, but I couldn't let her go. I wanted to be with her, but I failed her. The day I proposed, I was terrified she'd say no. When she said yes, I had to turn away to hide my smile. I don't think she saw it. We could have been married, we could have had a family, but Clara ruined everything. She looked so much like Isabelle. I hired her, and after one drunken night, she used it to manipulate me. Then she claimed she was pregnant. I know I wronged Maya. I told myself it was revenge for Isabelle, but the truth is, I was a coward. November 2021. Isabelle found me. She gave me the journal and confessed that she had lied. She asked me to apologize to Maya for her. I wanted to ask her what made her think I was brave enough to face Maya again. We were both cowards. Only Maya knew how to truly love. January 2022. Maya got married. I waited outside her building all night. Leo is a good man. He treats her with the warmth she deserves. March 2022. I have stomach cancer. Without Maya, I couldn't even take care of myself. Maybe this is what I deserve. July 2022. The chemo is painful. Every night I read Maya's journal. The pain lessens a little. To be loved is the most comforting feeling. To know I destroyed that love is an ache that never leaves. I can barely hold a pen. I just want to see her one last time to say, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.